Okay, picture this. You're getting in the car, ready for your commute, maybe running errands. What's one of the first things you grab? Probably your phone, maybe. Your earbuds.
Right. It's almost automatic for so many people. Pop them in, hit play on a podcast or some music.
Exactly. But that very common habit, putting something in or over both ears while you're driving, our sources flag that immediately. It's seen as a pretty significant risk.
And it really is more than just a small risk. It's a serious safety issue,
Mhm.
you know. We tend to focus on visual distractions like texting, looking away from the road,
Sure.
but tuning out the world audibly. That cuts you off from vital cues. We're talking sirens, horns, maybe even the sound of screeching tires.
Yeah, things you absolutely need to react to.
Precisely. And there's data on this. Some
Yeah.
studies have actually shown that if you've got both ears blocked, your reaction time in an emergency can slow down by, get this, over 4 seconds.
4 seconds. Wow, on a highway, that's an eternity. That could be the difference right there.
It absolutely could.
So for this deep dive, we really want to cut through any confusion around this. We're zoning in specifically on Ohio.
Okay.
We need to unpack the law there. Ohio Revised Code Section 4511-84. What does it actually say? What's the thinking behind it? And importantly, are there exceptions? Who gets a pass?
Right. Let's start with the main rule. This applies to most drivers, the everyday commuters. It's been law since 2004, actually, with an update in 2020.
Okay, so it's not brand new?
Not at all. And it's pretty direct. Quote, no person shall operate a motor vehicle while wearing earphones over or earplugs in both ears. End of story, basically.
Both ears. That's a key phrase then.
That's the absolute key.
Right.
Doesn't matter if they're fancy noise-canceling headphones or just, simple foam earplugs. If both ears are covered or blocked, you're breaking the law in Ohio.
So wait, does that mean, hang on, you can wear one earbud or like a single earpiece headphone?
Yes, that's the sort of loophole, if you want to call it that. One ear is okay under the law.
Huh. Okay, but if the whole point is safety, doesn't that feel a bit inconsistent? I mean, you're still cutting out half your hearing, potentially.
It does seem a bit contradictory on the surface, yeah. But the law seems to be aiming for a kind of functional compromise.
How so?
Well, the idea is, by keeping one ear completely open, you still have enough auditory awareness to pick up those critical loud sounds. We've mentioned sirens, horns, that sort of thing. You're not totally isolated.
Okay, I see the logic, even if it feels a bit like splitting hairs.
And what's really interesting and causes a lot of confusion for people is how much stricter Ohio is compared to its neighbors.
Ah, right. Because state lines don't stop commutes or road trips. So what's the deal elsewhere?
It's quite different. If you drive across the border into Indiana or West Virginia, Kentucky, even Michigan, you can legally drive with both ears covered. No restrictions like Ohio's.
Really? So you could be driving along, perfectly legal in Indiana with headphones on, cross into Ohio, and suddenly you're breaking the law.
Exactly that. And most people probably have no idea. Then you got Pennsylvania, which is kind of in the middle. They allow one earbud, but primarily if you're actually on a phone call.
Wow. So Ohio's stance is pretty firm then. They're really emphasizing hearing what's around you.
It definitely seems like a clear legal priority there. Auditory awareness is non-negotiable, unlike in some neighboring states.
Okay, so that's the rule for most of us, but you mentioned exceptions earlier. Who is allowed to cover both ears?
Right. There are specific cases. Let's talk about motorcyclists first. There was an update specifically for them in 2020.
Okay.
Bikers are now actually permitted to wear earplugs.
Earplugs. Wait, that sounds backwards. Wouldn't that make it harder to hear important stuff?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But it's about what kind of noise they block. The Ohio Motorcycle Manual even backs this up. The earplugs are primarily for filtering out the really loud, damaging wind noise you get at speed.
The constant roar.
Exactly. And the thinking is, by cutting down that overwhelming wind noise, it paradoxically makes it easier to hear the important lower frequency sounds like a car horn or an emergency siren. They become clearer, less muffled by the wind.
Okay, that makes sense. Protects hearing and potentially helps awareness of specific sounds. What about helmet speakers? A lot of riders have those now.
Good question. The law is very clear on that too. Speakers built into a helmet are explicitly not considered earphones or earplugs under this law. So those are perfectly fine.
Got it. So motorcyclists have that specific allowance for earplugs. Who else gets an exemption from the both ears covered rule?
There's a list of professionals, but, and this is crucial, the exemption only applies when they are actively working, on duty, on the clock. as the saying goes.
Okay, who's on the list?
Well, first, anyone who needs to use a hearing aid, obviously, that's covered. Then you have on-duty law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency medical service personnel.
Makes sense. They need communication gear,
Yeah.
radios.
Right. Also included are highway maintenance and repair workers, and this one sometimes surprises people, garbage truck operators.
Garbage trucks. Why them specifically?
Likely due to the noisy environment they work in and potentially needing communication systems, maybe backup beepers they need to hear clearly over the engine and compactor noise. But again, the key is on duty.
So an off-duty firefighter driving to the store can't just pop in 2 earbuds legally.
Absolutely not. The exemption is tied strictly to performing their job duties. Once they're off the clock, they're like any other driver under this law. 1 ear open.
Okay. And what happens if you're not in one of those exempt groups and you get caught with both ears covered? What are the penalties?
For a first offense, it's considered a minor misdemeanor. The fine can be up to $150.
So basically a ticket. Annoying, but maybe not devastating.
Initially, yes, but it can escalate. If you get caught again within a year, the penalties jump quite a bit. You become a fourth degree or even potentially a third-degree misdemeanor for subsequent offenses.
Whoa, okay. So that moves beyond just a fine. That starts impacting your actual record more seriously.
Definitely. It shows they take repeat offenses seriously. It's not just a slap on the wrist if you keep doing it.
So wrapping this all up then, the core message here, especially for Ohio drivers or anyone passing through, is really just awareness.
Absolutely. Awareness is key. Ohio's law sends a pretty strong signal.
Right.
What you can hear is just as critical for safe driving as what you can see. The state is actively trying to prevent that loss of reaction time, that 4-second delay we talked about.
And it really highlights how different states view this specific type of distraction, doesn't it? Ohio draws a hard line, while its neighbors are basically saying, it's fine.
It does raise questions about how distracted driving is defined and prioritized regionally.
Yeah. It leaves you with something to think about, doesn't it? That balance between, your personal comfort, enjoying your music, your podcast, and your responsibility on the road, especially when the rules change just by crossing a state line. Makes you wonder, next time you reach for those earbuds, is the convenience worth that potential ticket? Or worse, in Ohio, something to definitely mull over next time you start the car.